Welcome everybody to our webinar on closing with confidence, being able to basically simplify a lot of your accounting processes with BlackLine. We appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. Um, just so everybody knows, everyone is muted, but if you do have a question, feel free to enter it into the Q&A section of the Zoom. We'll try to answer it at the end, and if we run out of time, I'll be sure to email you an answer to whatever questions that you might have. Also, we'll be reaching out for just a 15-minute introduction call after the webinar. We hope you could accept that call with us and just have a quick chat with us. All right, so just a little bit about Revelwood. Revelwood is a company that's been around for 30 years, implementing and selling solutions for accounting and finance teams. Essentially, all of us here at Revelwood are former accountants and finance folks who kind of moved over into the technology world and understand both the business processes that go on in finance and accounting, as well as the different software applications that those teams use. So, that combination of that skill set and experience, it always ensures that our software implementations are done well, they're done on time, and that our clients get maximum value out of the tools that they purchase. All right, a little bit about BlackLine as a company. So essentially, BlackLine creates software just for accountants. It's all that they do. They try to, create software applications that can automate and streamline and save accountants time. They've been around for 20 years. They've been the industry leader in the financial close space. And you can see some of those statistics about BlackLine on this screen right here. So, thousands of customers, hundreds of thousands of users. They are publicly traded, so you can, go online and see all the information about them. And they always spend a ton of dollars on research and development to continue to evolve their products. Now, let's talk a little bit about why companies need a tool like BlackLine. Well, usually within accounting departments, there's pains or frustrations from the accounting, from really the staff accountants and the folks that are doing a lot of the work, along with the management team who needs visibility into what's going on. So if you think about it from an accountant standpoint, take balance sheet reconciliations or bank reconciliations. There's just a lot of manual steps that the accounts need to do to complete those recs. They're creating spreadsheets for each GL account. They're having to manually enter in GL balances. They're having to, manually roll forward schedules, ensure that their formulas are right. And you have to do that for each account, and you have to do that for each month. And it's just a very time-consuming and tedious process. And from a management standpoint, managers kind of like to have visibility into what's going on, with those reconciliations. And they usually have to approve or review those reconciliations as well. And that can be challenging in an Excel world, right? Take for example, one Excel reconciliation built by one accountant versus another. A lot of times accountants might build out their spreadsheets differently, meaning they have different tabs and different ways that they use formulas. And one person might use a pivot table versus, another person that might use sum if formulas kind of thing. And when you have that lack of standardization across your reconciliations, that can make it very time consuming on the approvers and reviewers, to do those steps. Also, getting that visibility into how the team is doing. A lot of times managers might have to email or have meetings with their team to see which recs are completed and which aren't. It's just very hard to quickly see where the team is at with their reconciliations and tasks when you're living in an Excel world. All right, so just a little bit more about BlackLine. Essentially, BlackLine's made up of 8 different modules. They have kind of 8 different core features that they offer. The 3 big circles that you're seeing right here, balance sheet reconciliations, transaction matching, and task management. That's kind of like their flagship products. That's where most organizations start when they sign up with BlackLine. So, balance sheet reconciliations, we can audit, the system can automate a lot of those reconciliations. Transaction matching. Think of a bank reconciliation where you have to match journal entries to bank transactions. BlackLine can actually automate most of that matching for you. That's what the transaction matching engine is typically used for. In the task management, that's where you can create your checklist of all the tasks that need to be completed at the month-end close within the system. So essentially in the system, you create that checklist of items, you assign who's responsible for doing it, you could assign due dates based on business day and so forth. And that way, everybody knows what they're responsible for doing and they know when it's due. And that ensures that that task gets done timely and they don't fall through the cracks. Now, some of these other modules down here, um, those are usually typically a phase two approach if people want to get involved with BlackLine. So for this webinar's purpose, I'm just going to cover these three main modules right here, the big three blue circles. But if you have any questions about these other smaller circles that you see down here, feel free to reach out. Glad to talk it through with you. Okay, so what I'm going to cover next, I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the balance sheet reconciliation functionality. Just got one slide here, and then I'm actually going to pull up the system and do kind of a quick demonstration for you so you can see what these recs look like in the system. But at a high level, the benefits of the balance sheet rec tool within the system is that it's got a ton of time saving and visibility features. For one, the system can actually complete reconciliations for you. That's what we call automatic certification or auto certification rules. And what we see across our clients is that our clients get up to 60% of their reconciliations can be automatically completed by the system. Just a huge time saver for the team. Um, GL balances get automatically populated on all your reconciliations within the system. So the users don't no longer need to key this in. And it always ensures that the balance on the reconciliations always in sync with the ERP system. There's always an audit trail, okay, of sign off. So as preparers sign off on their reconciliations are complete and approvers and reviewers do the same, there's a full audit trail of those sign offs. So when it comes time for the auditors to take a look, everything is in order. That everything that the auditors require is there to have a successful audit. Um, Reconciliations all have a standardized format. Doesn't matter which accountant is doing that reconciliation, they all have that same look and feel. And that's going to make it easier on the approvers and reviewers, or even the auditors that can go directly into the system to review those reconciliations. Um, Also, all the supporting documents around the reconciliation and the rec itself is now available in one single screen. In situations where people or teams are doing their recs in Excel, a lot of times there'll be an Excel file, saved on a file share somewhere, and then there might be some supporting documents like an invoice, PDF copy of an invoice or a Word document or whatever it might be. All those items can be spread out across a file share, but within the system, everything is within one screen. And lastly, we have all kinds of reports, dashboards, and email alerts to quickly see what's going on with your reconciliations in the system. So let's take a look, okay, at what the system looks like. So what you're seeing on your screen right here is I'm logged in as Kim Wilson, and think of her as the preparer, someone who's responsible for preparing reconciliations. And we first have this dashboard right here that tells Kim exactly how many recs she's responsible for and what the status of those reconciliations are. So you can see here, This is telling her that she's responsible for 265 recs. And the rest of the information is kind of the workflow bucket or the workflow queue of where those 265 recs sit. So for example here, 245 are in the not prepared status. That means she hasn't completed them yet. So this is probably what it would look like at the beginning of the close. 20 of them have been system certified, meaning that the system, again, did all the work to complete that reconciliation. Now, what Kim, would likely do here is when she's getting ready to do her recs, she wants to see those 245 recs that she hasn't started yet. So all she needs to do is click on that link. And boom, you instantly see a list of all those 245 recs. Think of this as a summary view of each rec. Each record here is a different reconciliation. But for each line item here, you can see what the entity and GL account and GL account description is. You can see what the GL balance on that rec is and what the currency, who the preparer and approver is, and what the due date is over here. So if I was Kim, what I might do is sort on due date, and now I can quickly see what reconciliations I need to start working on first. So the idea is that from Kim's standpoint, she knows all the reconciliations that she's responsible for doing. She knows when they're due over here, okay? And she knows the status of all those reconciliations as well. So that ensures that none of these reconciliations fall through the cracks and that Kim completes these reconciliations in a timely manner. Okay. Now, just to take a quick look at a reconciliation, I'm going to use this accrued audit fees rec. Okay. And this is the actual screen that preparers go into to complete the reconciliation. So let me just go through the different sections of this screen. You always see the entity and GL account and GL account description in this upper left-hand section over here. And then in your next section right here, all right, this is where all your supporting items and supporting schedules would go. Now you get to pick and choose how this section should look like. In other words, you can create an amortization schedule if you needed to in this section right here, or an accrual schedule, or a subledger reconciliation, or a bank reconciliation. Essentially, we call those reconciliation templates, and you pick and choose the template that best suits your needs. Okay? GL balance is right down here. And again, this automatically gets populated from your ERP system or your general ledger system. And that can be set up, it's an automated update, and that can be set up to whatever frequency you want. So if you want it updated, if you want your recs updated once a day, or you want them updated once an hour, whatever it may be, you can set up that schedule without issues. And then you have a section down here for comments, and you have a section down here for supporting documents. So you could attach Excel files, PDF files, whatever it may be. So again, just so now that I've shown it to you, every rec has that same standardized look. Okay, no matter which account you're reconciling, which accountant does the reconciliation, and all the information around the reconciliation is available here in this single screen. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about those auto certification rules, the ability for the system to complete these reconciliations for me. What I'm doing now on this screen again is I'm back looking at all of Kim Wilson's reconciliations, and I've sorted it by status. So I'm seeing all my recs that are marked as system certified at the top. And that means that the reconciliation met some kind of criteria that we specified. And so because the reconciliation met that criteria, the system marked that rec as complete. So some examples of those criteria, some of those examples of those situations might be, hey, if a reconciliation has a zero balance and no journal entries were posted to it, the system can recognize it and just mark that rec as complete. If a reconciliation is using an amortization or accrual schedule, all right, the system's going to always roll that balance forward on those schedules. And if that roll forward balance matches the GL balance on the rec, the system can go ahead and mark that rec as complete. Another common scenario might be if the balance hasn't changed from the prior month, right? If essentially your general ledger has a balance or your GL account has a balance and no journal entries were posted this month, the system can recognize it and go ahead and mark this rec as complete for you. All right. And again, those auto certification rules we see with our customers, they get up to a 60% auto certification rate using those rules. So it's just a huge time saver for you. Now, from a manager standpoint, okay, now I'm going to change the role to Kim Wilson. Think of her now as a controller or an accounting manager, someone with just overall responsibility for the team to ensure that the team is doing recs. All right, we got certain dashboards right here where she can quickly jump into to see exactly how the team's doing. So for example, this right here is telling Kim 30% of her team recs are completed. Number wise, that's 465 recs out of 1,500. Okay. We have a full reporting suite out of the box, 67 different reports that you can utilize to get more information about your team's reconciliations. Okay. And then also, we have all kinds of email alerts within the system that can notify your team when certain situations occur. So if a reconciliation becomes overdue or close to being overdue, the system can actually email the preparer, letting them know that their reconciliation is not going to be done on time. Okay. All right, so that's what I wanted to cover around balance sheet recs. Let me jump over to bank reconciliations and how the system can automate those. All right, so just high level on bank recs. Essentially, the system is going to automatically, on a schedule basis, import your bank transactions and your journal entries. And then the system is going to automatically match a bunch of the transactions for you. We see with our customers, they get over a 90% automatic match rate. So that means when the reconciler comes into the system in the morning, all they're left to deal with is that remaining 5 to 10% transactions that are left over. So it's just a huge, these automatic match rules are just a huge time saver for the reconcilers. So just so you can kind of get a feel for what it looks like, on the left-hand side here, these are a bunch of bank transactions that I imported into the system. And you're seeing 1,900 bank transactions that are imported. On the right side, we have about 1,900 journal entries that have been loaded into the system. And then we create those automatic match rules. And basically, these rules are the same logic that you're using today to manually match these transactions in Excel. Okay, we recreate that logic within the system to do that automatic matching for you. And these rules can be really, really complex, even matching multiple bank transactions to multiple journal entries if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm just going to click the button now that is now automatically matching those transactions that we saw before. And it takes about 10 seconds to complete. So all of this screen here I'm doing is I'm just keeping an eye on it to see when the matching is complete. But one other thing to keep in mind is that this process can be whatever frequency you want. It could even be daily, a daily process if you want, where each morning the bank transactions are loaded, the journal entries are loaded, the system automatically matches the transactions for you. And so that way, by day 31, the end of the month, 95% of the reconciliation is completed. All right. So my matching rules have completed. If you recall, before we had about 1,900 bank transactions and 1,900 journal entries. All we're left with is 9 transactions left. And so this would be the starting point for the accountant to go in and start their reconciliation. This is all they would have to deal with to complete their rec. Now, all those transactions that automatically match, they're not deleted from the system. They're just in a different screen. There's a full audit trail if you wanted to see them. And so they're always available there if you ever want to go back to those. So now to complete the rec, all you need to do is now just manually match what the auto match rules didn't. In this case, I got 2 bank transactions for 10 million bucks over here. Now I want to manually match that to 1 journal entry for $10 million. Notice this helper in the upper left-hand corner. It's telling me exactly what I clicked on, my bank transactions and journal entries. It's telling me the number of transactions I clicked on. It's telling me the total amount. And over here, it's telling me that they net to 0. And so that's a nice helper when you have to do finish up your manual matching. But I click my match button, those go away. These 2 transactions here need to match, those go away. Whoops. Now they're gone away. And so all that's left over is some AP checks. Now, we still haven't, I'm going to show you now how the bank to balance, the bank to the final bank reconciliation report looks like. But keep this in mind. These are 4 AP checks that we cut. They haven't been cashed by the vendor yet. So they need to show up on that final reconciliation report as an outstanding item. And one of the really nice things about BlackLine is this automatically integrates with that final bank to book report, meaning they automatically show up on that reconciliation. So let's take a look at what that final rec looks like. And this is it right here. Okay, so real quick, we have a section up here. All right, this is the audit trail. We can click on these to see the audit trail of everything that was automatically matched and manually matched. We have our ending bank balance right here, $151,000, that automatically gets populated from our bank statement. And we have those 4 outstanding AP checks automatically showing up in this section right here. And we have the GL balance that automatically gets populated. So our unidentified difference here, that's kind of doing the math. It's looking at the ending bank balance, subtracting out the outstanding items, comparing it to the GL balance. And because those are the same, our unidentified difference is 0. In our supporting documents section, that's where people typically like to attach the PDF copy of their bank statement. Okay, that's what you're seeing right down here. So again, all the information around your bank reconciliation is available in this single screen right here. Just a much more efficient way of doing the recs, and it's going to make it a lot easier on your approvers, reviewers, and even the auditors should they want to come in and take a look. Okay. All right. So I wanted to finish up by talking about task management. I'm going to go back to my home screen right here for Kim Wilson. All right. We have another dashboard right here on tasks. You can see the number 66. So that's telling Kim that she has 66 tasks that she needs to complete for the close. All right. Or I should say that are assigned to her for the close. 39 of them are in the not prepared status. So if I was Kim, all right, and I'm in close and I want to get rolling on what's left to do, all I would do is click on the 39. Boom, I see a list here of all the tasks that I'm responsible for doing that I haven't done yet. I can come over here and sort on due date to see what tasks are coming due first. And you'll see here we have some additional information, right? We have the task description over here, but we also have the category, task type, department, and entity that the task is related to as well. So just like with balance sheet recs, okay, with tasks, Kim knows exactly what she's responsible for doing in the close, and she knows the due dates, okay, for all those tasks and what's coming due, the soonest. And so it just ensures again that Kim gets all her tasks done, she gets them done on time, and none of them slip through the cracks. And just to take a look at what these tasks look like, all right, I've opened up the task here for commissions payable. You can see you have a section here where you can enter a purpose and instructions for each task. Where this can be really helpful is if the person who's typically responsible for doing this, if they're out of the office or they're out sick or they're out on PTO or maybe even they left the company, the new person who needs to take over can come in here, read the instructions, and instantly know what they need to do to complete the task. All right. Much more efficient way and a helpful way for new employees to get through that learning curve. You have a section down here for comments, right? Just like Rex, where you can enter any important narrative. So in today's world, if you're emailing people, certain notes about certain tasks that you're doing in the close, much easier to enter it into this comments section right here because the approvers and reviewers will always see it when they're taking a look at this task. Supporting documents, same thing. Attach them here in the system. That way everybody knows where those documents are located. If you're currently saving those across a file share, I don't know, could be a little bit difficult for those approvers and reviewers to get to, but hey, add them right here in this section right here. They'll be super easy for them to get to. All right, and once you've completed this task, you come down here to the certify button, you click on it, and then there'll be an audit trail of who marked the task as complete and what date and time that they did it. Okay. Now, one last feature I want to mention, the reason why this box here is grayed out is because you can actually set tasks up and require them to be done in a sequential order, right? In other words, task B needs to be done first before task A can be started. And so the system can actually follow that rules and not let a user mark task A as complete until task B is completed first. It's a feature that a lot of our customers, utilize. It just ensures that tasks are done in the proper sequential order. And just like with reconciliations, we have all kinds of reports and dashboards for managers to use to get that instant visibility into how their team is doing across their tasks. Okay. All right, so I did have to skip a few slides there because I was running out of time. Just at the 4 o'clock mark right here, so just ending perfectly on time. But we do really appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. I know everyone's got a busy schedule, so thank you for joining in. Also, just as a reminder, we are going to reach out for a 15-minute quick chat with you. We do hope you could accept that and have a quick call with us. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.